Fried, died, laid to the side, honey. I was a fried, hard, double fried chicken wing from the Chinese spot. I was fried, okay? Hi, hello, it's me again. If my vibe seems a little off, 'tis because I filmed segments 1 through 3 of this video, and then I had to go back inside because my phone overheated. And I said, well, let me see what it's giving. And despite testing my microphone to make sure it was working, the only video that has audio is the mic check. So that is about 25 minutes of video that I filmed that I just have to throw away and do again, which is annoying. And you know, the upside is I'm getting a tan. Anyways, we're gonna do this again. But I will say I'm gonna try my best to enhance the audio of my voice in post, because there are gonna be planes and trains and cars and things. Bear with me. I'm gonna try to project my voice, but bear with me, all right? Period. Anywho, what's poppin', y'all? It's me, your femme fairy goddess, space jam queen, plant-based pussy, and everything in between. And welcome to Secrets of Sapphire. Today's video is going to be a little different. It is going to be our first episode of Saphy Says, which is going to be more of a yap podcast style video where I talk about a topic that's either requested and resonates with me, or I talk about the time that has begun. So at some point in this video, we're gonna be inside. Or I talk about some download I've gotten from Spirit that feels important to share. So today we are talking about my 1-year sobriety journey. On Monday, I think it was June 23rd, marked 1 year of no gardening, no devil's lettuce, no ganja in any form or fashion. That includes smoking, edibles, the pen, all of that. Yeah, so today is Friday, so this makes 369 days. 369! Wait, that's good in itself. That's what this video is about. A lot of people have inquired about hearing more about this journey, what it's been like for me, how I did it, how I keep doing it, and all of that. I've broken this video down into 4 different segments. I have my notes. Hold for plane. Unfortunately, this is gonna happen a lot. I live like 30 minutes from the airport, so 4 different parts. So 1, I'm going to talk about my original relationship with ganja. Then we're going to talk about why I gave it up. Moving forward, So, despite my best efforts, I'm inside. I don't even want to talk about it. I just am trying to figure out why my phone chose specifically today to start being weird. And you know what? I'm just blaming it on the heat. But I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Anywho, I left off at telling y'all the segments of this video, what we're going to be covering in this video. So 1, my OG relationship with ganja. We're going to switch between calling it ganja and devil's lettuce just because I don't know what I can and can't say on here, and I don't want to get in trouble. Why I gave it up, what the past year has been like, and where I'm at now in my relationship with the plant now. So let's get started on the first one. My OG relationship with devil's lettuce. I really didn't start smoking heavily until like college, and at first it was just like a funsy turn up cutesy thing, but then it took a turn. So basically my second semester of my sophomore year, my nana passed away, and it was like kind of sudden, her getting sick and everything that transpired, and I was ready to drop out of college. I'm not gonna lie, I literally went to one of my professors and was like, yeah, I'm gonna take an incomplete. I was really trucking and fighting through. It happened at the beginning of the semester and I was really trucking and fighting through, but like the idea of having to sit down and write an essay about plays white people wrote in the European ass history of theater, I was just like, girl. But luckily I went to Temple and they had this thing called, I think it's DHS or DRS, something, disability, something resources, something. And basically because of the therapist I was seeing at the time, she told me about this, and then she also wrote a letter like essentially diagnosing me with anxiety and depression. I was able to be a part of this program, and you work with the person there and they come up with alternatives for you to have to make your time in college easier. Mine, where I get double the absences, I can get up out of class and leave at any moment, extensions on any assignment as long as I asked for the extension before the assignment was due, and I can like take my test at their center versus in the class. That definitely helped, but I still had to do the work even if I had extensions or whatever. So I used to blow down just so I could get my work done, just so I could like function a little better, and that kind of sparked my more dependent and obsessive relationship with ganja. Like at that point I became a wake and bake girly. I became a I gotta smoke before I eat girly. I became a when we smoking. I became a hot boxing session rotation kind of girl. I knew how to roll cones. There was a point where I even knew how to roll backwards, which is crazy to me. I was smoking backwards. No shade if you smoke backwards, but like, honey, the tobacco, the feeling, ugh. Anyways, yeah, so my grief had definitely pushed me deeper and further into this thing that was once like a cutesy party thing, was like a part of my daily routine, my personality. And so in the same way grief like projected me into this obsession, it is also what brought me out of it. So fast forward to January 18th, 2022, my sister died. She was, again, I'm not sure what language I can say, but I'll say she was unalived by her abuser. And my sister was and still is the closest person to me. She watched me be born. I have other siblings, but like she's the only one that shares the same mom and dad with me, and the only one I grew up in the same house as. So yeah, that completely, as you can imagine, just changed my relationship with life, with myself, with grief. Like when my nana passed, that was me. Like that was the closest death had ever came to me. So that was like the most intense grief I ever felt. But that was a grief that happened from sickness, which is a little different than, not a little, is a lot different than the grief that comes with when somebody is taken from you. It's not sickness, not a freak accident. It was an intentional act. That's a way different grief. We're not gonna get into that today, but that'll probably be something I eventually make a video about. Anyways, I remember that night that it happened, my friends had came over, and you know, the first thing I think is, girl, let's get you high. And I smoked, and from that time that I smoked, my relationship with weed has never been the same. I remember they're just trying to like distract me and, you know, give me something to do. And I remember just being fried and just sad as fuck, devastated. And from that point forward, anytime that I smoked, I just got flooded with like anxious thoughts. Like, what's life gonna look like now? What am I gonna do without my sister? Is this real? How is this real? What about her kids? The judicial process, blah, 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 blah. Like, it was just so intense that it was not enjoyable. And at that point I had decided, okay, I'm gonna chill on the smoking, and I would really only like do it in social settings. And well, no, pause. I chilled on the smoking, and then I moved into pens, into the vapes, but the THC vapes, none of that nicotine. And that's when I was a fried, died, laid to the side, honey. I was a fried, hard, double fried chicken wing from the Chinese spot. I was fried, okay? I don't wanna say I don't remember that time, but I really gotta dig deep. I really gotta dig deep to like fully remember some of the things that happened during that time. Like, I just know I was working and I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to not unalive myself, okay? Seriously. So yeah, at that point, that's when I began to get more intentional about like the types of strains that I was smoking. So like, if I would look up a strain and anybody would say it made them anxious, I'd be like, nope, not smoking that. Somebody could say they had a headache, they was dizzy, and I'd be like, cool. But if they said it made them anxious, couldn't give it a smoke it. Absolutely not. Yeah, at first I was like, cool, and that worked out, but I just kept landing in a space where I was interrogating my relationship with the devil's lettuce and trying to figure out like where it fit into my life, how it fit into my life. Like, there'd be points of time where I would have like the month before my birthday or like the couple months before spring where I wouldn't smoke. I would still do edibles, but I wouldn't smoke. And I just really had to interrogate my relationship with it, because then at a certain point, okay, I'm doing the strains and I'm figuring out what strains I shouldn't consume so I'm not anxious. But then it would get to a point where I would smoke and I'd be irritable and I'd be irritated and I'd be like, this ain't doing what it used to do. Like, this thing that used to lift me up is bringing me down. It was kind of like puzzling, because it's like, wait a minute, things are shifting, things are changing. And the way my grief brought me connected to it, my grief also is one of the main reasons why I had to disconnect from it. So last year in 2024 is when the change finally happened. I remember my partner at the time that I was dating, not trying to put her business out there, but shorty be smoking down. I don't know her now, but the version of her that I was dating, she smoked a lot, like a lot. That's not why our relationship ended, but I'm just recognizing that like I wouldn't have able to be in a relationship with her and be sober from ganja as long as I have been. Anyways, so we had broken up. I had decided to end our relationship, and the first month it was like pretty fine. You know, we were uncoupling in a way that felt very collaborative, in a way that didn't feel like the end of the world. It just felt like maybe we're transitioning into a different style. Maybe we shouldn't be partners. Maybe we should just be lovers. Maybe we should just be this, like really figuring that out until she did something. And for me, it was just a big fuck no. It was just a full mind, body, spirit fuck no. It was like, it'd be silly of me to think that this person who struggled with honoring my boundaries while in a relationship would do that now that we're not. And the action that they did just affirmed that. So I was done. I cussed her smooth out, returned every last belonging, well, almost every last belonging, and I was done. And I was very angry, I was very hurt, I was very frustrated, I was very confused. I was feeling a lot of intense emotions. The following week, after I had cussed her smooth out, I remember I ate fries 3 times, I smoked 3 times, and I drank 3 times. And to somebody that may be like, okay, but for me, that was like the biggest red flag that I could potentially go down a route of coping that was going to bring me further away from the version of myself I wanted to be. So I'm an emotional eater. Well, no, I do not claim that. I am someone who can struggle with using food as a coping mechanism, whether that's for boredom, sadness, frustration, I am either an emotional starver or an emotional eater. And so the eating fries 3 times in a week, I was like, ugh. If I'm on this path, you're going to get, your body's going to turn into a body that you do not feel proud of and that doesn't reflect your goals. And that pairs with the drinking. You know, a lot of people, y'all want to lose weight and get fit, but you can't put the drink down, and that's the problem. No shade, but that's the problem. And then just the smoking, I was just like, I can just see myself turning into a disassociative mess, and I didn't want to do that. So I remember I had smoked with a friend, and before I got home, I had all these plans for what I was going to do when I got home. I got home, I just fell asleep on the couch, and I was like, ugh, how am I supposed to like achieve my goals if this thing is like kind of making me a little bit of a zombie? And I remember I was at one of my best friends, it was her partner at the time, it was like a birthday kickback, and as I was smoking, I was like, yeah, this is my last time doing this. And that was on June 23rd of 2024, and I haven't smoked since. I haven't done an edible, a pen, and nothing. There has been no THC in my system. I have a CBD tincture that I use when I'm on my cycle, but yeah, there's no THC in my system. If you test my pee, it's very clean, not a trace. And so let's get into this past year. Where do I start? Look at my notes. Well, first things first, I want to say that I'm not one of those non-smokers who's like completely adverse to the smell or like thrown off by it, who will be tempted by it. Like to this day, I still like being around it. Like sometimes my friends want to smoke around me and they're like, wait, is that okay? I'm like, that's fine, like blow it in my face. Like there's a lot of things that I still enjoy about the plant. I just had to recognize that for this era that I'm currently in my life, it was not conducive to my goals. It was very counterproductive, and it was not going to help me in the way that I think that it genuinely used to. So I just want to start by saying that, like, I'm not a weed hater. I'm not one of those people that's like, ugh. I mean, unless you lighten up a backwood, I'm not gonna lie. Y'all gotta free my people from the backwoods. I'm not gonna lie, that shit is gross. Literally gives me a headache. I ain't trying to yuck your yum, but I'm sorry, I can't. But this past year has been a lot of internal reflection. It's been a lot of finding new coping mechanisms. It's been a lot of just finding new ways to exist without this crutch. So like, for instance, I remember one time very early into my sobriety journey where I was pissed. Like I said, I was processing a lot with my breakup, and I was livid. I was very livid. And now, was that necessary? I was very livid, and I was like, well, I can't smoke, so what am I gonna do? I cut up a Tanglo, or a Tangelo, however you pronounce it. It's a little hybrid citrus fruit, very yummy, my favorite. And I sat on my altar, and I cried, and I yelled, and I screamed, and I ate that, and then I went for a walk. So it's just been a lot of finding new coping mechanisms, and a lot of it consists of just letting the emotion be. I don't think I allow my emotions to rule me. And like, because the problem isn't the feelings, it's how we as people react to them and allow them to control us. But the one thing I've noticed about me and how I regulate emotionally and what my emotions require, which is really just, emotions are really just energies passing through, is that mine just want my attention. They just want me to like recognize them and say, hey boo. Sadness, resentment, I see you're here, girl. Let's talk about it. So that if and when they come back, it's not as intense and potent, because we familiar, we chat it up, you know what I'm saying? It's been a lot of that, a lot of finding new ways to dabble with my oral fixations. So for instance, I have my Femme Fairy blend. I smoke herbs. Even before I fully quit smoking the devil's lettuce, I would always put herbs in it. And I kind of want to gatekeep my little personal recipe. Maybe I'll tell y'all something or something and we'll stuff a little something together. But that helps me cover the physical thing that I enjoyed about like rolling up. Like for me, it's very ritualistic. It's very ceremonial, as long as it's helping. So I'm able to keep that ceremony by stuffing me a joint. And then I can still smoke it and light it and have that smoke and fire are very important for my rituals. So it's nice to still have that. Or also shout out Ripple. Ripple has not sponsored this video, but they have posted me on their page before. They're a nicotine-free, THC-free vape brand that's very healthy for you. They call them plant-powered puffs. And that's definitely helped me maintain my sobriety a whole lot. Admittedly, I think because this change happened gradually over like 2 years or so, I am not really as tempted to smoke. Like one time recently, someone passed me a joint and I like almost went to grab it and I was like, wait, I don't smoke anymore. But other than that, it's just taking a moment to pause and to ask yourself, is this action and is this behavior helping me or hurting me? Is it supporting my goals or is it counteracting them? It's just a lot of taking a moment to pause and ask yourself. And as far as where I'm at now with it, I'm 369 days sober. And it feels really good to have accomplished this. Me a couple years ago would have never thought I would go this long without consuming THC in any way. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about going from like wake and bake shorty to I don't do it at all. It's just like kind of spooky. And one thing I find really interesting is like, I really believe that types of habits you have attract certain people to you. So for instance, like when I was a regular smoker, everybody I dated was a smoker. It wasn't even intentional. I would just meet people and I'd be like, you smoke? Or they ask me, you smoke? And I'm like, yeah. And they like, yeah. And then we like blowing down. And I never had to pay for weed. Pretty girl privilege is never having to pay for weed. No shade. I've never really had to pay for it. So it was very easily accessible. But now when I think about the people that I'm dating, none of them smoke anything, let alone weed. And you know, one or two of them might indulge in an edible every now and then, but it's just a very like, it's a choice versus something that their body's yearning and asking for, and it's like not a dependence. So I find that really interesting that like once I stopped, I've attracted lovers and people that I'm dating that don't indulge. It's like very nice. Like most of my lovers are very sober, like really don't drink, barely drink. It's like a rare occurrence. It's like the type when they have a drink, I'm like, oh, you had a drink, you know? I don't want, we be drinking. We love us a good cocktail. I'm not gonna lie. But it's nice to feel like my relationships with substances are a choice versus a dependence. Like I think there was a time I was like very obsessed with shrooms, and even now, like I haven't done shrooms in a minute. I'm due, but I haven't done them in a minute. But yes, recently I have found myself considering, questioning, wondering what an edible would feel like. I think the main form of smoking that I just couldn't, or the main form of consuming THC that I just couldn't do was smoking, because it gives you a very up here high, versus edibles I feel are a very bodily type thing. So admittedly, that's something I've been thinking about. You see the thunder, so hold on, girl. But because I've recently moved and I'm undergoing a transition, just like in my physical space, but also in like my career, I don't think now's the time to introduce that. I want to feel more settled and more grounded in a routine and in my life if I was to indulge. But I wouldn't be surprised if before the end of the year I have a little edible, see how it feels. I might go, it's still a no, or I might go, okay, maybe this is something I do every so often. I'm not sure But I just wanted to be transparent about that because, you know, I don't want to seem like Little Miss Perfect who just like stopped smoking and I'm just like never have a craving or I never think about it. Like, it's something that, you know, I think about, something that sometimes I miss. You know, I've had some great times. But I've also had just as great times being sober. So I now know that the great time isn't dependent on a drink or a smoke. It's just dependent on my vibes, my energy. Period. Will I ever smoke again? I feel like that's very unlikely. Like I said, I feel like I might do a little edible. I don't know. I think overall I'm just on Spirit's time, and just as Spirit led me to this place of not indulging in THC, if it's ever time, that's a talk for me and God, for real. Like, one thing I really hope me doing more yapping on my YouTube, doing more Saphy Says highlights is how spirit led I really am. I keep running out of storage, so I'm going to hurry up. I just wanted to say that I feel like a lot of people don't know how spiritually, astrologically, and human designly I am led. So I'm hoping that these videos really give y'all more insight on how I like co-create with spirit. I'm just gonna close out this video before I run out of storage again. Thank y'all for watching. I hope this was very insightful. I'm excited to continue to share and allow myself to be perceived and get over my silly little intrusive thought that no one will listen to me yet, because y'all will, and y'all love it, and y'all eat it up. So yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have any further questions about this topic, if there's another topic you want me to talk about, or if I just said anything that resonated with you. I want to have a conversation about this, about sobriety, about the way we all depend on different substances and things to get through this ghetto thing called life. Life is ghetto. All right, anyways, until the next time. Bye.